Can the New England Patriots pull off the upset in Dallas? We've gone behind enemy lines and got the monster keys, so stick around. You're about to be locked in to the Locked On Patriots podcast.
You are Locked On Patriots, your daily New England Patriots podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello to all of you Foxborough faithful. Thank you once again for making Locked On Patriots a daily part of your New England Patriots coverage and also your first listen each and every day. Remember to download, subscribe to, and follow Locked On Patriots wherever you get your podcasts to ensure that you get the latest episode as soon as it's available. I'm your host, Mike Debate. I cover your New England Patriots for Patriots Country of Sports Illustrated. Reach out to me and let me know what's on your mind on Twitter, on X, on the Bird app, no matter what you call it these days, at MDABATE NFL. And while you're out there showing some social media love to Locked On Patriots, follow the account there as well at LO_Patriots. And today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use the code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off your first purchase. Last-minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed. And Pats fans, thank you so much for joining me here today on this weekend episode of the pod, getting you ready for the Patriots' Week 4 matchup against the 2-1 Dallas Cowboys. 4:25 p.m. Eastern is the kickoff. AT&T Stadium in Arlington, Texas is the place, and your New England Patriots are attempting to make their way back to 500 and even things up at a 2-2 record. Won't be an easy task. The Dallas Cowboys are stacked in every facet of football. And even though here on Locked On Patriots, we try to gain as much intel and as much insight as we can on the Cowboys from afar, the best way to get to know this team is to go directly to an insider. And luckily for us today, our insider is not only a Cowboys insider, he also has a lot of inside information on your New England Patriots. My colleague, my friend, my mentor, Richie Whitt of SI FanNation is joining me here today. And Richie spent the better part of the last 4 decades covering the Cowboys. Anything related to the star, he's got it. And he's going to share his wisdom, his counsel, and his insight with us here in just a few minutes. And if you're tuning in today to get a glimpse of those monster keys, fear not, folks, because to close things and take us home is the Count of Murphy Fisto himself. The legendary Thomas Murphy of E2G Sports going to come in and provide his monster keys to victory and why the Patriots could potentially pull off the upset. Folks, a lot to discuss today, a packed agenda. So without further ado, let us welcome in the managing editor of Cowboys Country of SI FanNation, as well as the managing editor of Patriots Country of SI FanNation, Richie Whitt.
Thanks, man. Mike, how we doing? I sound like a dual threat, don't I? Or maybe a Benedict Arnold. I'm like Cowboys. I'm also Patriots, but it's going to be a fascinating game. I can't wait to go to it on Sunday.
Absolutely. I like to think of it as being an honorable double agent. I think that's probably the best way that we can put it. You're doing both sides with honor, so we'll take that. Richie, the Dallas Cowboys are coming into this one after a tough 28-16 loss to the Arizona Cardinals last week. Many, including myself, tend to think that that's the exception rather than normal when it comes to the Cowboys, that the real Dallas Cowboys are going to show up this week. Kind of woke them up a little last week, and they're ready to go. Observations can only tell you so much from the outside. In being around the Cowboys this week and hearing what you're hearing coming from that camp, what's the mood like in Dallas after suffering what I think most people would consider a surprise loss in Week 3?
Big time. So it's kind of twofold. So, the Cowboys, like we do down here in Dallas, and I've been covering this team since Jerry Jones came in from Arkansas in 1989. So I've seen the ups and the downs and the unbridled expectations year after year after year. They start 2-0, and all of a sudden people are making Super Bowl parade routes, and they're the 85 Bears on defense. It's expectations just go ratchet off the charts here. So part of last week was, as your old friend Bill Parcells used to say, they ate some of the cheese, right? They got caught in the mousetrap, eating some of the cheese, reading their press clippings, thinking, hey, we are pretty good. Micah Parsons is MVP. Dak's going to go to the Pro Bowl. Everything's great. So that's part of it. The other part was, and this didn't get talked about a lot, but the injury to Trevon Diggs, who, of course, is a fascinating cornerback, Pro Bowl player, led the league in interceptions 2 years ago. But not just him not being on the field from a schematic standpoint, but it happened Thursday's practice. So the team, and they showed it. Micah Parsons kind of alluded to it. It was a punch to the gut for the Cowboys, kind of 2 days before they took the field. And it's interesting how some teams react. This is basically a pretty young Cowboys defense. DeMarcus Lawrence and Leighton Vander Esch are the exceptions. But when you have Micah Parsons, he's just in his third year, as your leader, either like, oh my gosh, one of our guys is down, we got to go charge the field and play an inspired game for Trevon Diggs. That's option A. Option B, which we saw, was, oh my gosh, we're losing one of our best players. He's one of our best friends. And they just didn't respond emotionally. I mean, the Cowboys defense has been dominant through this year, through 2 games. And to see what they put out on the field last week, if you watch the game, the first drive, the Cardinals with, the Hall of Fame quarterback Joshua Dobbs, for crying out loud, he was on a 50-yard scramble in the first series. And right then you're like, something's not right with this defense. And they never did kind of wake out of that funk. And then, of course, their red zone problems killed them. Scoring a touchdown 1 out of 5 opportunities last week, and they're one of the lowest in the league at red zone when they've led the league the last 2 years. I know Patriots fans can go, I'm familiar with that stat. The Mac Jones and the Patriots struggling last year. So I think the bad news for the Patriots is the Cowboys are somewhere in between their first 2 weeks and last week, but closer to the first 2 weeks. I do think they have Super Bowl talent, which we've said a lot before. But I think if there's going to be a wake-up call for the Cowboys this year, I think they got it last week. I think now they can deal with the reality of Diggs not being there. They can deal with the reality of we don't bring our A game. We could get beat by the Arizona Cardinals, for crying out loud. So I think that's a wake-up call. And the fact that Ezekiel Elliott's coming back, it doesn't hurt as far as the Cowboys being up for this game, if that makes sense.
Oh, I think it makes perfect sense. And that leads me quite nicely into my next question for you, is that it is a homecoming for Zeke Elliott. Obviously, his illustrious Pro Bowl All-Pro career has forged in Dallas, and it will always be remembered for what he's done in Dallas. But he's a member of the New England Patriots now. First 2 weeks did not quite get the footing that we wanted him to get, mostly because of game plan, not because of anything Zeke did personally, but starting to find his way through this Patriots offense right now and being that type of back that can grind down the clock in the second half. And I think the Patriots, based on what I'm hearing from Pat's camp, would like to utilize him a little bit more in the red zone where he was so effective for Dallas for so many years. What's the mood like in terms of Zeke's homecoming, and how are they preparing to contain someone that they played with and know so well for so many years?
So it's, I want to say bittersweet, but it's more bitter, honestly, with Cowboys. Let's talk about fans first. Mm-hmm. Fans absolutely adored Ezekiel Elliott. Now, he's, by any metric you want to measure, he's the third best running back in Cowboys history behind Emmitt Smith and Tony Dorsett. And those are Hall of Famers, right?
Absolutely.
And he's Dak Prescott's best friend, first of all. So Dak has kind of not been moping around, but you lose your best friend on a team, and it's significant. Mm-hmm. So Zeke was also their best red zone running back. Scored 12 touchdowns in the red zone last year, and we talked about earlier the Cowboys struggling in the red zone. So they miss him emotionally. They miss him strategically. But with Zeke, he does his feed Zeke, feed me celebration. We saw last week the Patriots game, the first time I think he's broke that out in the first 3 games. And, on Thanksgiving Day, he scored a touchdown. He would jump into the Salvation Army big red kettle. Just things that would endear him to fans. Nobody in Cowboys fandom wanted to see him leave. Now, do they say, maybe Zeke's lost a step, maybe Tony Pollard needs more carries? Absolutely, yes. But to let him go and for Zeke to say, I'll take a pay cut, I will stay here, and for Jerry Jones and management to go, we've got Rico Dowdell, we've got other running backs that are a lot cheaper, and that window is shut. A lot of Cowboys fans are not happy about that. So seeing him come back in a Patriots uniform, number one, is cringy. Number two, if they watched the game last week, Zeke had a little burst. Mm-hmm. He looks a little bit thinner than last year with the Cowboys, and he made some cuts that he hadn't made in a while. So he's not just your 4th and inches sledgehammer. I think he can do some things in the passing game. We saw him, of course, he fumbled in the opener against the Eagles on the screen, but he can catch the ball. He can pick up blitz in pass protection. He's still got a lot of tread on the tires, and I think Cowboys fans realize that. So in that way, it's going to be bittersweet for them. However, for Zeke, be prepared. And Jerry Jones, by the way, says, I've got a surprise welcome for Zeke. Now, with Jerry Jones, who the heck knows what that is? He might have his number retired. We're jokingly saying Jerry's going to announce that Zeke's going in the Ring of Honor before Jimmy Johnson just to stick it to Jimmy one more time. I don't think that'll happen, but you never know with Jerry what he's going to do. But opposing running backs coming back to play the Cowboys, okay? We're talking Emmett. We're talking Herschel Walker. Back in the 70s, guys like Calvin Hill and Dwayne Thomas. Those guys that have left for whatever reason, either cut or traded or, forced to trade, when they come back to play the Cowboys, they are 1-9 all time. Herschel Walker was 0-5. Emmitt Smith came back here in 2003 as a member. Some people forget he played his last 2 years with the Arizona Cardinals. He carried 6 times for -1 yard. So is Zeke going to come in here and run for 100 yards, 2 touchdowns, and get his revenge? History says absolutely not. But it's going to be fascinating. And just for a lot of Cowboys fans, it's going to be like, I don't want to watch the screen because he's our guy, and now he's their guy.
Yeah, absolutely. I think Patriots fans can relate to watching their guy wearing another uniform, regardless of what that other uniform is. Yeah, there's definitely an element of that. And I know it's going to be a bittersweet, reunion for Cowboys fans, for a lot of the players that he played with for a number of years. You mentioned Dak Prescott. It's difficult when someone that you've played with and is such a close friend and is such a mentor of yours on the field no longer there. It can be difficult. And I agree with you. There is a lot more left in the tank than I think a lot of national pundits gave Ezekiel Elliott credit for. One of the first things that Zeke said to us in the media when he got here was, the extra time actually helped me. It gave me an extra spring in my step. My legs are fresh at this time of year for the first time in a while. So maybe that will translate to something on the field. Patriots fans hope so. I know Dallas is hoping it goes the other way. Before we take our leave of the subject, Richie, in terms of Dallas's preparation for this matchup, injuries can always be the ultimate equalizer. New England is learning that lesson very quickly this week with Daniel Ekuale now on IR. They have a number of guys banged up in that secondary. Dallas's Achilles heel right now has been their offensive line. We've seen Tyron Smith, Tyler Smith, Tyler Biadasz, Zach Martin, Terrence Steele. That's their number one unit when they're healthy, and that is a formidable unit. But Biadasz, Martin, Smith, they've all missed the Cardinals game. They've all been banged up. What are you hearing about the Cowboys' offensive line? Can we expect a healthier unit this week on the field against the Pats?
This sounds so familiar, doesn't it, Mike? I mean, this is kind of what we ride and talk about with the Patriots.
It is. I like actually being on this side of the question asking, because normally I'm getting these. This is great.
The Patriots, they haven't had their starting 5. I think last week was the last time they had their ideal starting 5 up front, and now Cole Strange is hurt. But with the Cowboys, same way. I mean, they've got 3 potential Hall of Famers, right? With the Zach Martin, Tyron Smith, and they think Tyler Smith's going to be that guy as well. But they haven't started together. Now, for this week, Tyron Smith looks like he's not going to play. He's their Pro Bowl left tackle who's getting up there in years and hadn't played a full season now, and all of a sudden in 4 years. So these days he's more out than in. Looks like he's going to be out. But Tyler Smith is back. He played last week. Zach Martin looks like he's going to practice and play, and also their center Tyler Biadasz. So 4/5 of their offensive line will be back, and boy, it shows, because last week without Zach Martin and Biadasz, the Cardinals just harassed Dak Prescott, especially in their red zone. They sent 6-7 guys at him, and they just couldn't block him up, and it led to an ugly interception at the end, and led to 4 failed trips. So I think there's a schematic window, there's a plan, a blueprint, if you will, to get pressure on Dak. But, it kind of helps if he doesn't have Zach Martin protecting him. I think he's back this week.
Yeah, that's good news for Dallas Cowboys fans, and mostly for the Dallas Cowboys team. And the Patriots can relate once again. We saw the return of Trent Brown last week in that lineup, did not allow a pressure, and 92.4 grade from Pro Football Focus. So that type of return is so key to being able to efficiently put your game together. And
Mike, it's not just, obviously, if you have your left tackle, whether it's Tyron Smith or Trent Brown, if you have him in the game, obviously your quarterback has peace of mind. He knows I got a beat longer to look down the field and go through my check downs. But it's also in the meeting room before the ball is even kicked off.
Absolutely.
Offensive coordinators are like, okay, we can protect our quarterback, therefore, boom. It's a whole different game plan when you've got to say, we got to stick to 3-step drops and get rid of the ball because we can't block it up, or we're going to have time to survey the field and do some things. So it's a strategy, but it's also a mindset. And I think with Trent Brown coming back, we saw that, the Patriots blocked it up from Mac Jones last week. And we'll see if the Cowboys can do it without Tyron Smith.
Yeah, without question. And from a continuity standpoint, it's huge as well. I mean, when you get the starting unit that's capable of playing together, they know each other's movements. When you have new pieces in there, even if they're reserves, they're still not used to taking repeated reps with that unit each and every day, each and every minute of that game. So from a continuity standpoint, having most of the starting unit back is good news for either team. And Richie, it's been a blast so far catching up with you in terms of what's going on in Dallas. Tremendous insight you'll only find here on Locked On Patriots, folks. But we're not quite done yet because I'm going to put Richie on the hot seat in just a moment. And I'm going to ask him whether or not his insight in covering the Patriots and his vast knowledge of covering the Cowboys makes him think that an upset could be brewing in Big D this weekend. We're going to talk that and more when this episode of the Locked On Patriots podcast continues, a proud part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Locked On listeners, you shouldn't have to worry when you're buying tickets to your next event. Put the fun back in your entertainment with Game Time, the fast and easy way to buy tickets for all of the sports, music, comedy, and theater events near you. With killer last-minute deals, all-in prices, views from your seat, and their best price guarantee, Game Time takes the guesswork out of buying tickets. Game Time is so easy to use, and it is so helpful. One of the things I love most about this app is you can see the view from your seat before you buy it, so you know exactly what to expect when you arrive. That's why they're the only ticketing app that gives you complete peace of mind with your purchase. And what makes it even better is they are obsessed with finding ways to help you save money on tickets. Game Time has deals on tickets right up to the start of the event. It's the place to find last-minute seats, and the Game Time guarantee means you'll always get the best price. If you find tickets in the same section and row for less, Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference. So what are you waiting for? Don't delay. Do it today. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use the code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. So again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONNFL. That's LOCKEDON NFL for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last-minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed. Locked On listeners, if you need fresh groceries for the week, but you don't have time to go to the store, try grocery delivery from DoorDash. You'll get everything you want delivered when you need it right to your door. With thousands of grocery stores to choose from, you'll find the best in your neighborhood and boost your local economy with each and every order. You'll get exactly what you ordered, or they'll make it right. So sit back, enjoy quality groceries just like you picked them yourself. And if you want even more value, you can save on all of your grocery and restaurant favorites with a $0 delivery fee on all eligible orders with a Dash Pass membership. Get 50% off your first DoorDash order and up to a $20 value when you use the code LOCKEDONNFL at checkout. It's a limited time offer and terms apply. That's 50% off up to $20, no minimum subtotal, and zero delivery fees on your first order when you download the DoorDash app in the App Store and enter the promo code LOCKEDONNFL. Don't forget, that's code LOCKEDONNFL for 50% off your first order with DoorDash. Pats fans, thank you once again for taking time out of your busy schedule, out of your busy weekend to join us here on Locked On Patriots. Don't forget, Locked On Patriots is free and available on all platforms, so download, subscribe to, follow wherever you get your podcasts, including YouTube. And here today, I am honored to be joined by my friend, my colleague, my mentor, Richie Whitt of SI FanNation, covering the Cowboys for a number of years. He has also provided stout coverage for your New England Patriots for the past 2 seasons. And Richie, it's always fun being able to double dip into teams because you get insight that is so amazingly intricate from both sides. And you have the unique circumstance of being an editor and also a main cog in the coverage machine for the Dallas Cowboys, of course, but also for the New England Patriots. Yep. Now, we've both gone back and forth privately, publicly, number of times on the fate of these two teams, mostly the Patriots. But in your estimation, when you look at this Pats team, Mac Jones under center at quarterback, the new Bill O'Brien effect on this offense, Zeke Elliott and Ramondre Stevenson trying to be complementary pieces in the run game, the return of the tight end set, that offense was supposed to be a big complement to the defense this year. And so far, the defense has held up their end of the bargain. They've been excellent. The offense has been a little slow out of the gate, but they've shown flashes of what they can be if all these cylinders start clicking. In your estimation, your knowledge of the Cowboys, your knowledge of the Patriots, is there a chance that the Pats can come in and pull off the upset at AT&T Stadium on Sunday afternoon?
Is there a chance? Absolutely. Because you know why? Because the Patriots defense, and you touched on it.
Mm-hmm.
These guys played amazing last year. They had 6 defensive touchdowns. They're a top 10 defense. And they're playing, I'd say, just as well this year. And you go, wait a minute, just as well? Look who they played. They held the Eagles to 1 offensive touchdown. They held the Dolphins to 24. You're like, 24? The Dolphins scored 70 last week, so 24 looks pretty good. And the Dolphins scored 36 on the Chargers. So, again, it's all relative. 24 looks good. And, of course, they feast on Zach Wilson. A lot of teams do, but the Patriots just that's their whipping boy. The way they play defense will keep them in most games. They were going to see that. But you said a word about their offense, which was slow to develop, you said. But that's just what I see when I watch other teams like the Cowboys and watch other offenses. The Patriots do on offense. They do a lot of things really good, right? A lot of things. But what do they do great? And I don't – you cover the team more than I do. I don't see it. When I'm watching a game, I'm not like, oh, this play could go for 80 yards because of blank. What is that blank? They just don't have the playmaker. And when you have an offense like that, sometimes I call them plotting and predictable. You can win that way, but your margin for error is so small because instead of a 60-yard, game breaker like a Tyreek Hill who can just all of a sudden you get a one-play 80-yard drive. Patriots don't have that player. Therefore, you got to put together 11-play 80-yard drives, 13-play 80-yard drives. And in that, you can't have a sack, a drop, a penalty. All those can get you off track to where you just now all of a sudden you got to punt the ball. It's just a painful way, honestly, and you watch them. It's a painful way to watch a team play offense because, we saw Kayshon Boutte, the rookie from LSU, in the preseason take a pass and go 50 yards at Green Bay. And I thought, now maybe they've got a playmaker. Well, we haven't seen that in the regular season. And they've got some good receivers, but they're mostly stationary, possession receivers. Every once in a while, you'll get a wild card like Pharaoh Brown going for 50 yards, which I don't think you can count on that every week. Your third string tight end being that.
Dallas going to be ready for that this week. They caught New York unaware.
Well, they caught us by surprise. It takes a fluke like that for the Patriots to have a quick strike. So they can win. They can beat the Cowboys because they'll stay in the game. They won't allow a lot of points. But can their offense put together, like I said, long, sustained drives without having that hiccup that turns it into a punt? It's a hard way to win, but that's the formula they've got until they get a playmaker. And I think Bill O'Brien knows that, and he's calling plays that way. Their offense is better than last year. There's no doubt about that. With the emergence of now Mac Jones has reliable tight ends to go to if he ever needs it. He's got 2 running backs capable of the passing game and the running game. And like I said, he's got good possession receivers. But I want to see more Kayshon. I want to see more Demario Douglas because those are the guys who can have a little wiggle after the catch and maybe turn a short pass into a long gain. And that's what they desperately need, especially against the Cowboys.
Yeah, without any question. I think you're absolutely right on the money. And look, in terms of playmakers, you can try to throw in names like you said, Kayshon Boutte, who's been a healthy scratch the last couple of games. After game 1, we haven't seen him in there, and that is a little disheartening. But obviously the Patriots see more behind closed doors than we see in the limited window that we get before practice, and definitely a lot more than the average fan gets a chance to see each week. So there's got to be a reason for that. Demario Douglas, there was a heartbreaking fumble against Miami because it really, I think, derailed some of the confidence this kid was building up.
And it helped change that game. I mean, they were in that game. They were driving. That was their longest play of the season at that point, and they're inside the red zone, and that fumble just changed his mindset. Of course, Bill, didn't change his mindset. It just reiterated how Bill thinks, and that's one mistake by a rookie, and we'll see it in a month. So that play, looking back, was a fork in the road for the Patriots.
Yeah, absolutely. And it definitely derails the type of chemistry that you want to develop if you're Mac Jones with your pass catchers, albeit in a short game, which is where Mac is at his best. Still, the quick game is the best way to maximize his talent. Draw the defense in, get your receivers under the defense, and then put it where only they can get it, get the catch and run, and then get the yards after the catch. That's something I think the Patriots will try to do against Dallas this weekend, but ultimately going to have to run the ball effectively as well, and that's not going to be an easy task, especially with Micah Parsons looming, who can do so much and disrupt so much, not only in the passing game, of which he's a beast. We all know that, but he's also very good at facilitating a lot of what the Dallas Cowboys do well in defending the run. So that's going to be a big time matchup. I know we're looking forward to Christian Gonzalez and CeeDee Lamb seeing time with each other. Good. I'm going to throw my last wrinkle into it before we go ahead and take our leave for today. And linebacker Juwan Bentley against that Cowboys interior O-line. Richie gave some good news about the Cowboys interior O-line and that they might be getting a little healthier, but Bentley has a tendency to be all over the field. He was all over the Jets running game last week. The Pats are going to need him to have another big-time week if they want to try to slow what Dallas does offensively, because as good as Dak Prescott is, part of what Mike McCarthy's new scheme under Brian Schottenheimer is to get Tony Pollard going. And Pollard has tremendous breakaway speed. You have to get him early. Bentley is going to be a huge key into doing that. The Patriots are going to try to pull the upset. I agree with everything that Richie said on the offensive side of the ball, but that's going to be a defensive key, is a big game from Juwan Bentley. If the Cowboys exploit that, it's going to be a long day for the New England Patriots in Dallas on Sunday.
I think the same way. I think it's kind of the old tortoise and the hare. You're going to see a difference in speed, which is Patriots fans are going to be like, are the Cowboys playing in fast forward motion and we're playing in slow? Because just the speed, especially on defense, with the linebackers and their secondary, they're not the biggest guys, but they're so fast. And you think you have a 10-yard gain around the outside, they just close that window so quickly. Mm-hmm. With the Patriots, they have more strength. They have more variety in the running game and the short passing game. So it's going to be quick strike, fast Cowboys against slow plodding Patriots. So do you pull for the marathoner or the sprinter on Sunday? It'd be fascinating.
Well, I know which way our listeners are leaning, but you know what, folks, regardless, it's going to be a fun game on Sunday. Two very proud franchises and two very proud fan bases. Makes for a great Sunday afternoon, Richie, and I know we're going to enjoy it. Yep. Thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule to join us here on Locked On Patriots. Absolutely. I thank you, my friend. Take care. Have a great week and a great day. Enjoy the game on Sunday, and thank you for dropping by Locked On Patriots today.
All right, Mike. Thanks, man. Talk to you soon.
Thank you, Richie. Locked On listeners, our partners over at eBay Motors have teamed up with Locked On Fantasy Football host Vinny Iyer to bring you some of the best fantasy picks each week, all season long. Whether you're prepping for a daily draft or you're scouting the waiver wire, every week we're going to provide you players that are guaranteed to fit on your roster. So let's see who Vinny has picked out for us on this week's eBay's Guaranteed Fit Fantasy Picks of the Week. Broncos running back Javonte Williams has gotten a healthy 48 opportunities in the first 3 games, but so far he's managed only 180 scrimmage yards and 0 touchdowns during the team's 0-3 start. Expect the volume to finally convert into true fantasy production for Williams as Denver gets the wilting Bears defense in Chicago in Week 4. The Bears have given up plenty of overall yardage and scoring juice to backs throughout the first 3 weeks, and Williams will be the latest to take advantage as a runner and outlet receiver. Folks, Vinny Iyer from Locked On Fantasy Football is going to help you win your fantasy championship. And eBay Motors knows a championship team is about each player being a perfect fit. It's the same thing with your vehicle. With over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die, you can make sure that your ride stays running smoothly. From brake kits to LED headlights, roof racks, bumpers, whatever your baby needs, eBay Motors has it. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, it's guaranteed to fit your ride the first time, every time, or your money back. Plus, at these prices, you're burning rubber and not cash. Keep your ride or die alive at ebay.com/motors. eBay Guaranteed Fit, only available to U.S. customers. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. Patriots fans, we could not, in good conscience here on Locked On Patriots, take you into kickoff on Sunday at 4:25 p.m. Eastern without turning the monster keys. And that's exactly what we're going to do to bring it all home today. As advertised, as promised, I give you the Count of Murphy Fisto, the legendary Thomas Murphy, joining me here today to turn those monster keys. What can I say? Thank you so much for being here for that handoff, Don Murph.
Dude, I'm just glad that, when I show up at the door, it's not locked. Thank you.
No, that key that you have that's a universal key. That unlocks all the doors. So, and hopefully it'll unlock the doors to a Patriots victory. And Murph, you see things us mere mortals do not see. And that means your monster keys to victory. I've always said, you turn the keys, you go to the top. You don't turn the keys, you're never heard from again. Bill Belichick and the Patriots Brain Trust are up there at One Patriots Place. You know they're waiting for these. Take us home. What are the Patriots' keys to victory over the Cowboys on Sunday?
Well, the first key to victory this week is one that was largely ignored last week. There could have been a lot more points on the board if the Patriots went up tempo.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I want to see. I'm not talking a straight no huddle. 1987 Buffalo Bills. But at different times during this game, the Patriots are going to have to forego that huddle. They're going to go no huddle. Push that red button, kids, and get the script out, write it up, and get it done. This is the first key to victory. The second one this week is the Pats need to own the red zone. New England has been one of the better teams in the red zone this year, people, believe it or not.
Mm-hmm.
But the problem is they're not in the red zone enough. All right, they need to, and this transitions down into the weeklies. But once they get past midfield, then they've really got to clamp down and start converting some third downs. And but in the red zone, the Patriots are right now at 76% on the year in converting. The Cowboys on the other side of the plate are only converting. They're only scoring on 40%. Can you believe that, Michael? 40% of the time that they're down there in that red zone. Here's another little tidbit here that you're not going to hear from a lot of other folks. Dallas throws the ball 100% of the time between the 2 and the 10-yard line. Don't tell Dallas that. They might switch things up this week. So yeah, on the red zone. Of course, get points on the board, get up quick. Dallas is at the top of the league at putting points on the board in the first quarter at more than 8 per game. That's more than the Dolphins, folks. And they're averaging 18 points in the first half of each game that they're played this year. Don't dig yourselves a hole, folks. Get in there. What's going to be paramount this week is, once again, I know I beat this drum often, but stuff the run. It's hard to put in the heads of I'm not saying put this in the hands of Dak Prescott. Dak Prescott's one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. There's no denying that. You can't. That's not what I'm doing here. But the big men up front are going to have to mind their lanes this week. Please chime in if you think I'm wrong.
You're not. I haven't disagreed with anything that you've said up until this point. I'm nodding my head. I'm biding my time. I'll give my 2 cents in a moment, but you're doing fine, man. Keep driving.
All right, man. And I want to see this team get physical this week. All right. The Dallas offensive line is a mess. Okay. Sound familiar, folks? So the Pats are going to be either dealing with banged up starters or second stringers, and we're going to love it. Put pressure on Dak, and good things are going to happen this Sunday, folks. They really are. Dallas does not have the most physical receiving core in the NFL right now. Hit these guys hard at the line of scrimmage, get them off their marks, make Dak throw to spots that aren't there. And then, of course, we've got the weeklies, win the turnover battle. We saw what happened last week with a stalemate. The Patriots were happy to get out of New Jersey with the W. Go out there and get the ball. And you're going to have, this defense is going to have to start turning people over. They've played really solid up to this point in time. But a lot of the turnovers that we saw last year that this defense generated, and definitely the points that we saw this defense generate last year, has not poked its head out of the hole yet, as to say. So go ahead and do that. Take the points when you have them. I know I talked about owning the red zone, but it doesn't always have to be sixes, folks. Every point counts. Take the 3 when that's the smart option. The Patriots have not done that in each game this week. And please, Joe Cardona, please, you're paid to do one thing. Okay, snap the ball, get a good snap so we can get it down. And flip the field. This is one that I cut, which might get taken off the weeklies. It's Bryce Behringer is just a dog. He's just freaking amazing out there. This kid's leg is phenomenal. He pins everybody inside the 20. Keep it up, Bryce. Good job. I might run out and buy myself a Bryce Behringer jersey this week.
Nice.
And of course, own third down. The Pats right now are converting on just 40% of their third downs. You can't win like this, not sustainably. Most of the problems, as I said, just 30 seconds ago, is that on the opponent's side of the ball, on the opponent's side of the field, once they get past that 50, they seem to have a bit of an issue in converting. So it's just, let's pick it up once we get into Dallas territory. On the other hand, Dallas is converting on 50%. I need to see these numbers flipped around on Sunday if the Patriots are going to walk out a big D with a W this week. Of course, this is a really hard one because Zeke Elliott is coming back to Dallas, and we all know that he's got a chip on his shoulder, and he's talked a little smack. Little smack's been talked behind the scenes. It really has, but I really want to see Ramondre get into a groove. Let Stevenson get into a rhythm. I'm tired of switching things up on every series, and we're worried about week 14 and 15 and 16 before we've reached week 5. Dallas has given up 131 yards a game on the ground to date. They gave up 222 last week. Run the ball early and often. Get Micah Parsons worried about filling gaps and not chasing Mac Jones around there and filling up his stack zone. Inside zone is going to be the plan this week. Set up play action and let Mac cook. This is my favorite key that I cut this week, and also my least favorite because I've got to take some of the Patriots coaching staff to task, but I need to see Douglas, Boutte, and Bourne on the field a hell of a lot more. Dallas's defense has issues with speed, especially in the secondary, especially at the linebacker level. It's time to let the kids out of the doghouse. Let the dogs off the porch. This is where the speed is in this Patriots roster is right here with these 3. These are the fastest 3 guys on this side of the ball. Boutte served his time. Douglas is the best playmaker on this side on the Patriots offense. 17 snaps last week. Is that right, Michael? Was 17?
Right.
It's that 7. That's at least 17 too few. Okay, we need this man in there. And Kendrick Bourne. Bourne and Mac should be spoken about like peanut butter and jelly. They should just go right together. We've seen it time and again. These guys are on the same page. Juju Smith-Schuster, for whatever reason, whether it's his body that is just breaking down and won't allow him to do what he wants to do, or he's not up to speed yet. We don't give that enough attention. He did not play a lot in the preseason. He did not get a lot of snaps. He was hurt. And so he might still be getting on the same page, but Juju shouldn't be taking a single snap away from either of these kids or from Kendrick Bourne. As for Parker, let him get out there and drag our old friend Stephon Gilmore out of the picture and open up some stuff underneath. The outside guys are going to have to drag coverage away to open stuff in the middle. There's not a lot of open stuff in the middle right now, but as we've seen, for whatever reason, the Patriots are not connecting on shots down the field, whether that's guys not fighting for a ball, guys not getting separation. Sit down and enjoy the meat and potatoes, folks.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Everything doesn't have to be a 65-yard touchdown bomb to a tight end that nobody ever heard of before.
Well, I got a funny feeling you're going to hear that name a lot more on Sunday, but
Yeah.
probably not for the reason that
No.
a lot of people believe you will. I believe you're going to see a lot of Pharaoh Brown, but in a blocking role, and I think it's smart for the New England Patriots, and I'll get back to that in just a moment.
There's my uncut key.
Absolutely. There is the uncut key, folks, and we promise you an uncut key
Yep.
every week here on Locked On Patriots, and that is no different. Clarification on the injury report. Beatis and Zach Martin both listed as questionable for this game.
Okay.
We don't know their status. So if you're watching this after Saturday's roster moves are made, you may not know right up until game time whether or not either one of these guys are going to go. Tyron Smith is out for this game, so that is a major hole now on the Dallas offensive line. And if I'm the New England Patriots, what you're trying to do is you're trying to keep the Dallas Cowboys from gaining any traction. I thought
Right.
Arizona did a very good job of this last week. They played about 30 or so snaps in their base 3-4 defense, and then gradually they switched to more zone coverage, played a split safety zone. What that did is playing in your base prevents the opponent from being able to gash you with a run early
Right.
on. Then what you can do is you can start controlling the tempo and you can start controlling the game. Dallas ran the ball effectively, but they only averaged about 5.5 yards per play. So when that happens, it forces Dallas now into more drives,
Right.
higher play counts. And that's something that's going to keep them off balance. Unless they completely change their approach, which I'm not sure they're going to do. Theoretically, folks, it is possible. So if this does happen, then all bets are off. But they haven't been using the design quarterback runs with Dak Prescott all that much. They're not running the ball from a spread formation. They're basically smash mouth football. And the New England Patriots will mix it up in the trenches on defense as well. On offense, I thought you hit every key you needed to without question. We need to see more Demario Douglas. You're going to need some help on the offensive line. That includes Pharaoh Brown being brought in as a blocker. You need that in order to keep Micah Parsons off balance. And I thought you said this perfectly. Get him thinking about filling gaps instead of teeing off on those third and longs, pinning your ears back and getting after Mac Jones. If you start seeing that on Sunday, folks, you know it's going to be a long day for the Patriots in Dallas. They have to limit that. And how do you limit that? Run the ball right up the middle with Ramondre Stevenson and Zeke Elliott. That's why it's so important for Ramondre to get started and get started early. I thought you said that perfectly, Murph.
Thank you. Yeah, the uncut key of this week is run 22 and even 23 personnel.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Absolutely.
we need to get this run game sorted out. We need to get Ramondre sorted out. He was your best weapon last year. He has been sorely missed this year. Get him going. Bring Zeke in on definite blocking downs, definite passing downs, and see how that works out. But he was brought here. The reason that I was happy that he was brought here was to spell Ramondre Stevenson, and he's played too big of a role in my point of view.
Bottom line, the New England Patriots have a tall task on both sides of the ball. They've got the personnel to do it. You've heard how Murph is able to describe it. You've heard Richie Whitt say pretty much the same thing earlier on. This New England Patriots defense will keep them in games. Yep. Can they turn the offensive keys and enough of them to make this not only a game, but also an upset? Yeah, the Patriots definitely have a puncher's chance in this one. And don't forget, folks, we're going to be back here on Monday to bring you all of the action, all the ups and downs, the ins and outs of what you saw on the field at AT&T Stadium. In the meantime, Murph, we remind our loyal listeners, our Locked On Everydayers out there, all of you who make Locked On Patriots possible, to still submit your questions for Mailbag Monday. We want to know what you're thinking, and we'd love to answer your question, which will either be a Victory Monday or a Melancholy Monday, Murph. So in that vein, what can I say? I thank you for coming on here today, lending your wisdom and counsel, and provide us with a roadmap the Patriots are going to need to pull this one out in Dallas on Sunday. But so I remind you to stay safe and to stay well and to be the change you wish to see in the world. On behalf of my good friend, the Conor Murphy Fisto himself, the legendary Thomas Murphy of E2G Sports, I'm Mike Debate. Enjoy the game on Sunday, and don't forget to come right back here on Monday for hashtag Mailbag Monday, hashtag Locked On Murph Monday, and either a victory or a melancholy Monday right here on Locked On Patriots.
Pats in the under. It's a new decade. Pats in the under.